guys, welcome to a watercolor tutorial. My name is Kenzie and today we're going to be painting this winter landscape, and this is a mixed media piece. You can see it has a nice 3D effect from the Wildflowers. So this is a really fun piece and I can't wait to do it with you. Let's get started. Let's go over our supplies. So right here I have my 2 water cups. I have one for warm, one for cool water. I have here my dryer. I got this on Amazon and I'm able to dry my layers very quickly. I have my tapping cloth where I tap excess water on here handy. I also have my Winsor Newton watercolor palette. You'll see all of these colors that I use inside your ebook that's emailed to you. I have right here my bleed proof white. This is my Dr. Martens. I use it all the time. It's a very pigmented white. It's awesome. These are the brushes that I use all the time. I love this particular brush because the bristles are very soft and I can get a very nice pointed tip so I can get lots of detail. So the size I use a lot is size 8, 12, and 4, and this is a silver black velvet brush. I use these 2 oval brushes a lot, especially this one right here for when I'm covering large areas like landscapes like the skies and stuff. It's really good for just putting down my first water. And then I like to use this one for some of my florals, especially peonies. I also recommend having masking tape. Any painter's tape from the dollar store works perfectly fine. I like to paint my paintings down. I like when it leaves a border, and it's really nice if you have an extra cardboard sheet handy that you can move your projects around and not be tied down to your desk. You'll also see I'm a messy painter, so this has definitely helped contain some of the mess on my desk. So I'm gonna mix up, or I guess I already mixed up, a really nice soft gray. I'm gonna pull a little bit of indigo to it. And this is gonna be for our moody sky. So over top, I don't want there to be a lot of color. I do want to put something down. So this is what we call a wash, where it's just more water than it is pigment. And I'm just going to pull this literally all the way down. And you're going to see here I've left a little bit of paper. This is what we call white space. And we're going to let that kind of just be a little bit of a cloud effect. And you'll see I've just added in a darker tone here on my page as well, just to give it a little bit of a visual appeal to it. And I'm gonna, again, just drag it all the way down, 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 down. I wanna blur it out with just water. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna let this dry. That is gonna be your sky. Okay, cool, and this is how it dried. And I'm gonna come in now and mix indigo with this grayish, blackish color that we had. I want it to be more of the indigo side, more of the blue. And I'm going to come around now and I'm going to kind of create some tree-like shapes towards the back. So you'll see here I'm using my larger, what is this, my mop brush. And I'm just kind of twirling it around, just kind of making just some really loose shapes to it. Tree-like shapes. Blotting around. Using mostly just a wash of a color, nothing too bright, nothing too dark. And I'm going to come all the way around, maybe create like a big tree, some little trees. Maybe I'll just do a big tree over here too. Yeah, I like that better. Some larger trees. Just blotting around. We'll give some life to these as well as we go. So I'm going to dry this. So we're not using the wet on dry technique. That's when we're applying wet paint to a dry surface. And this is how we layer with watercolor. So you'll see here that when I apply this layer, now it just sits on top, which is exactly what we want. We do not want this to just blend and blur like the other one. So you'll see here that I just applied my first color and it was, sorry, my second layer, and it started to kind of create a really harsh line, which I didn't love. So I just blended that out with just some water, and I'm gonna come in now and give my trees a little bit of love, some texture, following my lines that I had already provided with my first layer, but you're also going to see here that I'm leaving, again, white space, so that way that we can see this lighter blue that we've already put down as well. And this is how we're going to layer with our trees and get a really nice effect to it. So it's really important that you're not just completely covering the layer that we just put down. We definitely want to leave that first layer to shine through. And you'll see here, I'm letting my dry be a little bit more on the drier side. I haven't dipped my brush in that much water because I want my bristles here to kind of separate, and it just gives a little bit more of a nicer texture. Okay, so now I can go in and I can dry this now again. And again, I'm just going to come in, it's a little bit too dark, layer on top, trying to leave my trees, my first and second layer, sorry, trying to leave, I got distracted with what I was doing. So leaving again your first and second layer to shine through. Again, you'll see how my bristles have separated because I haven't really dipped it in water since I started this one. I can even come in and scoop up some of the colors in some areas as well. I'll probably do one more dark layer. I'm going to come in now and add my final indigo. And I'm not putting too much depth into this because these trees are supposed to look like they're in the distance. So I don't want them to have too many individual leaves. I'm just trying to get like a loose effect of a nice tree. I'm probably going to come in there actually and do one more layer, but I'm going to move on to the bottom part. So I've mixed up a little bit of like a creamy color. So you can mix in just a small amount of like a light brown. You can add in a little bit of cadmium red, a little bit cadmium yellow, sorry, and it really creates a nice sandy color. And I am going to apply this all over my bottom. I'm blending it out with just water. And then I'm going to come in and just do little streaks everywhere while it's still wet. Because remember we talked about the blending of soft colors and giving the illusion that things are in the distance. So I'm just going to do really soft lines. While it's still wet. I'm mixing up a little bit of a green in here as well. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush right here. I just mixed a little bit of that creamy color with some indigo as well. Again, just to give my piece just a little bit of shadows to it. And I'm switching over again to just a bigger brush, and I'm going to use my nice creamy blue color that I have in here to just, while it's still wet, tap around and create some flower effects. Again, the key here is to try to move as quickly as you can because you want it to kind of expand and create a really nice effect while it's still wet. So trying to move really, really quickly. And it kind of gives the appearance that there's like little fields of these blue. So you see how fast my hand's moving. I'm trying to go as fast as I can before everything starts to dry here. So again, it's really, really important that when you get this first layer down, that you can move really, really, really fast. I also have a nice bleed-proof white that I'm going to use as well. I'm scrubbing it around to get a good amount of pigment on my paint. I'm going to come around with this white as well. So I'm going to actually just put this bleed-proof white into my indigo to create a nice creamy blue color. I'm going to add more blue. So it's going to be a little bit more dry now than before, but I'm still going to add lots of little blues. Just blotting around with my very tip of my brush. Just blotting around. I'm even going to put some of these little blue flowers over top of my trees over here. All right, so I'm gonna keep going here. You know what, I actually want this to be more of like a creamy green before so I'm gonna mix up this green again that I had. Yeah, make it more creamy. And I'm gonna do more of a wash, so I have more water on my brush. And I'm gonna come in now and I'm gonna do some really nice thin flicks up here. And because I have more detail right here, it will kind of make this seem like it's more in the distance. So you guys are definitely in that middle zone, I like to say, where it kind of feels a little awkward, like your piece isn't coming together, but just hang in there, keep going and adding layers and details. And I promise towards the end, everything will come together and it'll look really nice. So I'm using the very, very tip of my brush. And you'll see how I'm starting from the bottom going up. That way, when I'm lifting up, you have the thinnest point, so it's not stubby. See right here how I went down? That's a stubby, which is fine. I can go in and fix it. I'm coming in just and doing little flicks over here. Just little ones, and you'll see it's really light because I have more water than I do paint. Okay, so now I can come in and I can actually mix up a darker shade, and again, I'm trying to keep with this little creamy color that I have, but a little bit darker to kind of create just a little bit more shadow coming in where I would just having different tones and values of green. I think I'm gonna do, just one more. I want it to be a little bit darker. So I'm adding a little bit more sap green to my black. I'm gonna do less of this because I don't want this to kind of be the main focus. Maybe make it a little bit more darker here in the corner. Even in this corner, I'll even come in, just make it just a hair darker. Being very loose with it. Using more water, I come in and just add a little bit more green over here. Even back in here, just add just a small little bit of some greenery. Okay, so I'm gonna mix up now a really nice brown color with my green. And I'm gonna add some stems. So I'm going in now with the very tip of my brush, and I'm coming in and creating a little squiggly line. Sorry, I got lost on the paint there and forgot to explain what I was doing. So I'm coming in, creating just some squiggly lines to just make it look kind of like these wildflower. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring it over even into my sky just a little bit. Yeah, even this one I'm gonna bring up. I want to bring these stems a little longer up here. I think I was just too conservative before, so I'm going to bring up some of this green to go just all the way up. There we go. Why does this feel so weird? Come in, bring some of these stems just all the way up. Okay, let me just mix a little bit more green into this. I'm going to come in over these ones, especially over the blue, and I'm just going to darken it up a little bit so that it just stands out just a little bit more. And I want to create a little bit more darkness down here. Okay, so I have some flowers. Remember how I did some stems over here? I just want to make them just a little bit longer. I'll even bring some of these dark stems over here. And over here, I'll just do some as well. And at the top, I'm just blotting around, and I want it to kind of look very breezy. I'm gonna go in now. I have some acrylic paint that I am going to add to this because I really want to make this pop. So I'm coming in, I'm gonna mix a little bit of white to my acrylic. Come in now, and I'm gonna add this bluish color kind of all over again. Switching up the different values of the blue. Putting it over top. And again, just following that same shape that we had before. Blotting around. And this will really make these flowers really stand out. So just doing the exact same technique as we just did with the watercolor, but we're just pulling it in with the acrylic blue. So I just mixed a nice blue with some white. I added a hair of purple into it as well. I'm going to be just plotting around my page, trying to just make this blue stand out, make it look like it's more towards the center. And you'll see the watercolor ones, because they're very soft, they just automatically look like they're already in the distance, which is exactly what we wanted. I'm going to add a little bit more water to my brush as well, because I still want to give this a really nice soft vibe to it, despite us still using some acrylics. I'm just using a little bit more water. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of a darker color again. Remember how we talked about other layers? So I'm gonna come in and add this darkness now, and I'm not gonna do it on absolutely every single tree, but I am gonna come around and just add another layer to these tree parts, just to really make it pop. So I'm gonna come in again. I'm gonna add just a little bit of my bleed proof white, and I'm gonna add it over here just to break up this line that I have between like my, what is this, like my wheat field and my trees in the background. So just really just kind of help break it up, make it a little bit softer. Just felt like it was just way too defined here. Makes it a little bit more whimsical. And then I'm gonna pull in this color in different areas as well. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my bluish color with more of a wash, and I'm gonna come in again, just keep adding just more layer and depth in this area. Kind of rotating between like the flowers and just adding some of these stems in the background. Coming in towards the bottom as well, and just kind of filling it in so it just looks more like a greenery area. I'm making some areas darker than others. And you'll see here as we rotate our colors, the piece looks more full. So I'm just going in with my acrylic, blotting around. Yeah, I'm gonna come in again with some blue. Okay, so I'm gonna come along with my acrylic, and I'm gonna, some of these, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna create little stems for them. It's hard because sometimes with acrylic, the brush gets kind of clumpy. So it's hard to get nice, small stems. I'm gonna come in and dry these. I want to come in and just give some of these just a little bit of shadow at certain points, like over here. And then I want to give my little cute flowers just a little bit of depth. A little more brown. I'm touching my centers, and I did a little bit of a wash of like a black and a brown. Sorry, it took me a minute to find my words there. And then these little flowers, I'm gonna come in and just do some flicks. Just to give it another little element, I'm gonna actually bring a couple in here. And I'm just adding a little bit of yellow into it as well. So there's just a few different types of tone in here. I'm just adding a little bit of darkness to the bottom of these. You can go in and just add a little bit more depth to different points in here again if you want to. So I'm just putting some final details on my painting, and then we're going to move over to the pressed wildflower portion. So I actually reached out to a friend of mine who recorded a video for us, and she's going to walk us through how you can attach these pressed wildflowers onto your painting to give it a nice 3D effect. So I hope you all enjoyed this painting portion, and I'll see you all in another video soon.
Hi, I'm Lauren from Fairy Girls Flower Farm, and today I'm going to explain to you how to add pressed flowers to watercolor. So first of all, you're going to need your painting, and then you're going to need some glue. So this is the type of glue that I've been using recently, just something I have on hand, but there are lots of different craft glues that will work for this. You'll need a little dish for your glue just to make your glue nice and accessible, and then you'll need something fine tip like a toothpick to transfer your glue. And then finally, you'll need your pressed flowers. So I've got a drawer here full of pressed flowers. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your painting in front of you, and then you're gonna arrange your flowers around the painting until you find an orientation that looks nice to you. Once you've done that, you're gonna one by one remove a flower from its position and replace it with a little dab of glue. Put the flower back onto the glue, press down gently, and then you'll wanna do that to each of your flowers until they're all glued to the paper. Once it's dry, you'll have a beautiful pressed flower watercolor painting.